It's June 12, 2026. You're an enterprise developer with dozens of workflows built on Fable 5, and suddenly the failure is total. Every API call you send returns an error. The shutdown originated from an emergency export control directive issued by the US government targeting Anthropic. The directive legally barred any foreign national from accessing the model. Anthropic faced an immediate hurdle. Their platform had no mechanism to verify the citizenship of millions of users in real time. To guarantee compliance with the federal order, the company disabled Fable 5 and its sibling Mythos 5 for every customer worldwide, Americans included. This event redefined frontier AI as a dual-use sovereign asset, subject to the same geographic restrictions as advanced weaponry. The regulatory move came just 72 hours after launch, triggered by a discovery from researchers at Amazon. They identified a jailbreak, a specific prompting technique for bypassing safety guardrails. This allowed Fable 5 to scan codebases and identify software vulnerabilities. It didn't just find bugs. In one test case, it produced the code to exploit those flaws. This turned a commercial productivity tool into a national security priority. Revoking a model used by hundreds of millions of people within 3 days of launch illustrates the level of urgency now applied to AI-driven offensive cyber capabilities. Access returned on July 1st, but the Fable 5 that reappeared was a different system than the one that had been taken offline. Anthropic deployed a new safety classifier designed specifically to block the Amazon exploit. The company claims it now stops that specific technique in over 99% of attempts. Requests flagged by this filter are now automatically rerouted. The query is handed off to the older, more restricted Opus 4.8 model. To prevent future exploits, Anthropic implemented a mandatory 30-day data retention policy for all Mythos-class traffic, allowing for retroactive safety audits. These safety mechanisms are now requirements for deployment, effectively setting a new technical standard for models at the frontier. The technical updates were only part of the resolution. To restore service, Anthropic accepted 3 binding covenants mandated by the Department of Commerce. First, proactive risk detection through a continuous, federally mandated auditing program. Second, pre-release collaboration, giving the government early access to test new models. Finally, mandatory reporting of malicious activity, integrating the provider into the state's cyber monitoring loop. Even with these agreements, the full-strength Mythos 5 model remains restricted. It is only accessible to roughly 100 vetted organizations defending critical infrastructure. Through these requirements, the federal government has established a new relationship with frontier labs, moving them from independent developers toward a model of state-supervised utilities. For enterprise builders, the era of assuming guaranteed, uninterrupted access to a single model is officially over. If an entire business process is hard-coded to one specific frontier model, a single regulatory directive can halt operations instantly. This includes the new fallback reality. Because Fable 5 now reroutes sensitive prompts to Opus 4.8, developers have to plan for output quality that changes unexpectedly based on safety triggers. Dependency on a single provider's uptime creates a critical failure point for the entire business. Navigating this volatility requires abstracting the model layer. Applications shouldn't be hard-coded to one AI API. Multi-model platforms like MindStudio provide a flexible routing layer. If a primary model is restricted, it redirects calls to alternative models without breaking the user experience. This also means builders must proactively test these alternatives in staging environments, ensuring they can switch providers before a regulatory crisis forces their hand. Building with AI is now an exercise in risk management. The organizations that survive the next blackout will be the ones with the best contingency plans.